Amazing to have Burmis and Cindy Sheehan and all these people together. They're standing against tyranny. She lost her son. And the military will follow orders, and that's all this is. And there are the bankers openly setting up world government, bankrupting us by design. It's really happening. Well, here's the Examiner newspaper reporting on these sound weapons at the Tea Parties. It says both town halls took place without incident. However, the use of military device concerned San Diegans. The LRAD crowd control is primarily used in Iraq to control insurgents and can cause serious and lasting harm to humans. And they admit this. I mean, this is just outrageous.
Other police action may include actual physical removal, the use of riot control agents and/or less lethal munitions, which could cause risk of injury to those who remain. You must leave.
We have units coming up through the park. Pushing towards the park. This is how we're going to push them. After we get the encirclement, we're going to push them down forward back towards Chemley Drive Extension. Leave Chemley Drive Extension open so we continue to push. Then we'll establish a skirmish line along Chemley Drive Extension. There was a little miscommunication on my order, but now we're attempting a encirclement in the park.
The police began to charge following the initiation of a tactic they called kettling. So called as to reflect the purpose of a kettle, to hold in water and heat it until it attempts to boil over.
They're closing in. Get out of there. They're going to arrest everybody. And the police, he said, at the last thing, were coming from 3 ways, blocking them in. That's what they do. They corner you and then attack.
Stand by for gas deployment. We're setting that up along Melville. Any units, we have 5th Avenue covered. Unit 30 base, I'd like to express my professional regard to everyone who did an excellent job.
Guys, just remember that's a young girl right there.
All the Operation G20.
Now, let's go ahead and go over these articles. Brigade Homeland Tour starts October 1st. 3rd Infantry's 1st BCT trains for new dwell time mission. Helping people at home may become a permanent part of active Army. And then you read this, the Washington Post reported it, everybody else did. It says, for riot control and civil unrest during a collapse of society. Then the Army War College came out a month later and said, yes, we're preparing to engage the American people. So there's that going on. So they have to have troops to take you to the FEMA camps. Washington Post, 20,000 more U.S. troops to be deployed for domestic security. They then expanded and said it won't be 4,000 troops, it'll be 20,000. Now they're saying, oh, it'll be 40,000 regular Army troops. The very troops that were in Baghdad doing gun confiscation, the very best troops they've got. Here's another one. Marines admit security force to operate inside U.S. This directly from the Marine Corps' own website. And they did it with role players, practicing confiscating people's guns. Here's another one. Unit learns skills to fight different enemy. And this is out of the American Force Press Service. See, this is all part of acclimation. And then in a 4-state area in the Midwest a few months ago, there was a report about the Army suddenly locking down parts of cities and then the disgraced Governor Blagojevich announced about 5 months ago, before he had that big scandal, and we played the newscast here where he said we're going to have the Army go door to door confiscating guns in Illinois. And then we have the first time the Army got called into New Orleans, going to the high and dry areas with the police and FBI. All the weapons will be taken. No one will be allowed to be armed. And then putting people in handcuffs that had guns, taking their guns.
Today in New Orleans, they got a lot tougher on the holdouts.
Police department, anyone home?
Not only the flooded areas, but New Orleans' driest and wealthiest neighborhoods, too.
Police department!
The police and National Guard going street by street, house to house.
We need to make sure, too, that whenever we knock on doors, people refuse to leave. We need to make note, call it in.
They say there are no orders to use force, just strong persuasion, sometimes entering open houses with guns drawn, and instructions to disarm anyone inside.
You say guns will be taken? No one will be able to be armed. We will take all weapons.
That happened today in this wealthy neighborhood where homeowners had armed themselves to protect their mansions. Residents were handcuffed on the ground. In the end, police took their weapons but let them stay in their homes.
They were a little bit threatened because our weapons were bigger than their weapons.
For many of the police and guard troops, it is an uncomfortable job to do this in an American city. This guard unit occupied a church, using it as a base camp. They had to leave a note because they could not get hold of the pastor to get permission.
It is surreal. Yeah, you never expect to do this in your own country.
Chris Montgomery says he'd rather be in Iraq than patrolling American neighborhoods.
Walking up and down these streets, you don't want to think about the stuff that you're gonna have to do. Somebody pops around the corner.
Be shooting American.
Yeah.
I mean, that's on record. That happened. This is what they're training for. This is what they do the first chance they get. Stop living in denial.
Attention, attention, attention. American forces are here to help. Remain calm. We will not tolerate civil disobedience.
Throw the gun away, Mr. Randall. Go on, throw it.
No tricks, mister.
This is the poorest county in Montana, and the $27 million prison has turned into a white elephant. Because there are no prisoners, Glenn and Ray Perkins got laid off after moving to Hardin to take guard jobs.
When I went to the door, there were two cops standing with their hands on their guns. I've lived in the same town for 26 years.
We got 90 and 94 sitting right over here where they intersect, which is a perfect place for a checkpoint. I noticed that they got these mobile checkpoint stations.
There's a lot of secrecy going on.
I'm concerned about the legitimacy of who they are.
Nothing is square in this whole deal.
I cannot let my grandchild grow up in this kind of thing.
And its main focus is to bring prisoners and jobs to Hardin.
We've got a beautiful, beautiful facility here.
Becky, it's time to get straight with us now. We need to know these things. I think the people of Hardin need to know this.
Becky, for her pay package, I don't know what she made as a reporter for the Gazette, but I know it wasn't much. But here, she's getting paid $60,000 a year, plus a house, plus a Mercedes.
I don't understand who this company is and why they...
Follow the money.
Where were they 2 years ago?
Follow the money.
That's all I have to say. Where were they before the ground broke?
Follow the money.
And its main focus is to bring prisoners and jobs to Hardin.
Think it's mysterious at all?
It probably is to those that don't know what's going on.
Carrie Smith is the wife of Two Rivers Authority Executive Director Greg Smith. who was recently placed on administrative leave.
Well, members of the American Police Force showed up in Hardin yesterday, driving vehicles with Hardin Police written on them. As Color 8's Nick Law reports, it created quite a stir, especially because Hardin doesn't have a city police department.
This was the talk of the town in Hardin on Thursday. Mercedes decked out in the City of Hardin Police Department decals and driven by American Police Force members. Two Rivers Authority officials say having APF patrol the streets was never part of their agenda.
Tell people what's really happening here.
Well, first of all, Alex, around the country, and it's not just in Montana, but specific areas are being identified as staging grounds. And just recently, we had 12 Tajikistan troops on BMWs. These are the same BMWs that you and I talked about meeting.
And by the way,